Well, with lawmakers still deadlocked on a debt deal, two Republican governors have a message for Washington. Don't raise the debt ceiling until you balance the budget. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley has teamed up with Texas Governor Rick Perry to make sure that Washington is listening. And Governor Haley joins us from Columbia, South Carolina. Good morning to you, Governor.
Good morning.
So you and Governor Perry are now pen pals with America, writing in the newspapers?
You know, what you're seeing is there's great governors across the country that are having to balance their budgets. They're having to cut spending. They're having to cap spending. And what they're saying is, look, if we're doing this in the states, we want you to do this in D.C. What Governor Perry and I are trying to do is say the only way we're going to get Washington in line is if we start to balance our budget.
Right.
And they're going to need the state support to do that through the constitutional amendment. We want them to know that we've got governors lining up to make sure and support them in that process.
And in fact, the idea that later this week, the Republicans in the House are going forward with cut, cap, and balance, you love that because you think America should have a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution.
Listen, we will never get our debt in line until we have a balanced budget amendment. And I will tell you, in South Carolina, for example, we were borrowing federal funds to pay for unemployment benefits. And they brought that to my desk in January. I said, I don't want to borrow anymore. And they said, you have to, or the checks won't be there tomorrow. I said, this is the last time. We borrowed in January. By the time we got to March, we had cut benefits from 26 weeks to 20 weeks. We stopped giving benefits to seasonal employees that were college students that were working for the summer getting benefits. We went and made sure we got in line. So when that piece of paper came back to my desk in March, we did not borrow any more money. That's what D.C. needs to understand is you have to cut your spending. You have to cap where you're going to be, and you have to balance that budget. All the states are doing this. D.C. can do this as well if they want to.
Yeah, but that's the key. If they want to, right now, you know, Governor, D.C. is a machine that just is really good at sucking the money out of our wallets and out of our purses as well. And now they're talking about increasing the debt limit. I got a feeling you're not crazy about that proposition, even though so many economists say, look, if we don't do it, we are in for Armageddon.
Look, the one thing I know is that both parties have made mistakes. This is not about Republican or Democrat. This is the fact that we have got to get a hold of our budget. We have got to understand the value of a dollar. And I will tell you that the one thing that D.C. does respond to is re-election. And I think that the people need to let them know they're watching. Both parties need to realize that we expect results. We don't expect any more talking. None of us has the patience for it anymore. If we are leading as governors in our states and we're getting this done, they should be getting that done too. I'd love to see them do what I did in South Carolina, which is have every legislator have to vote on every section of the budget so that you can actually see their spending habits.
That's a great idea. That would be terrific if it were in Washington as well. Governor, let me ask you.
It works great in South Carolina.
I'm sure it does. Let me ask about this. The Republicans have come out with some plans, and they've laid them out for everybody to see. But the President of the United States, when asked on Friday by Jake Tapper about his plan, apparently, you know, we heard behind closed doors he's talking about cutting entitlement spending, and then the President said, no, I'm not going to get into specifics. That's one of the problems. Right now, we don't know what the President's plan is, if he has one.
You know, it's because he's worried about re-election, and that's really what hampers an elected official, is when they start worrying more about re-election than they do about results, you get into a problem. This is not a situation where you can't know what you're doing. We need a leader. A leader needs to make decisions. Those decisions are not fun. They're not easy. We haven't had great fun times in South Carolina, but I tell you what, we started with a deficit and we ended up with a surplus. That is the way you have to function. That is the way you have to lead. We need our president to lead right now, and we need the Republicans and Democrats to insist on a balanced budget and cutting spending.
Well, we're getting down to the crunch time. Governor Nikki Haley joining us today from Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us live.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Great talking to you as well.